It's been a weird evening. Mad ebb and flow. One bad monkey don't stop no show. Come get this awareness on the go. It's the Real HD Show. Let's go. Yeah, it's the Real HD Show. Welcome back. It's a Monday, manic Monday. Lot going on. Got to stay strong. Um, Here to blast off to you and the family and the crew. Something for you to chew and hold on to. And it's crazy wilderness that we call North America and the diaspora for that matter. Peace, y'all. It's the Real HD Show. The higher discussion. This is the only show on these or any other airways where you will hear the good, the bad, the ugly of our culture solved with freedom music. Freedom music is usually available 7:30 to 8 o'clock. Call letters on the bottom. You can pop in. I'll pop you up backstage, and we can rock out to some soulful music to motivate you, put a battery in your back, have you feeling good as you go about your work. You know what I mean? So rock out with us. My name's Vic once again. Real HD Show, prime time with a purpose. Don't get nervous. We going below the epidermis. Tonight, we're here for this. The Great Vote Hustle Part 3. Because there's a lot going on out there. And you got to be aware of and be clear on so you can make great decisions. And you could be as adjusted and armed as possible. I hope everybody's all right. Yeah, man, it was a weird afternoon, evening. Got some weird mail, got a weird dude following me. I thought I was gonna have to put hands, you know what I'm saying? I crossed the street, dude crossed the street, one of them YT folks. I crossed the street again, he crosses the street again. And it was a nice day, but I had my little, I had them paws in my pocket. So I put the gloves on and I'm making my fingers real tight, real taut, and I'm trying to remember my jujitsu. I'm trying to remember Kodagash. I'm trying to remember Simon Bani. I'm trying to remember all my styles and forms. And this dude was like screaming. He's up and down the block. He might have been one of them little opioid heads, but he's walking behind me and he's screaming. And I'm moving pillar to post, cross the street to the other street, cross one street to the other street. And this dude is screaming, talking about, yo, yo, barking at dogs as he walks past. I was like, yo, this dude is on one, but he's on my bumper. You know what I'm saying? So I was like, whoa, let me get ready. I haven't had a, encounter like that in some years where I actually had to put hands, you know what I mean? So I'm thinking, I'm like, all right, throat, solar plex, groin, pressure points, coda gash, pinky, spread the arms, lock the elbow, crash it down, put the knee. I'm going through I'm going through all my, my rhythm, my self-defense rhythm, and just to make sure in case anything jump off. Now I'm in my neighborhood now, mind you. So just a weird day, man. And then of course I come home and later on in the evening, hear that Diddy's compound gets raided, his sons get arrested. Now I know Diddy's son Justin. He used to play ball with my godson Quadri in Mount Vernon. So I was asking, like, yo, is he all right? Is he good? Is he cool? Is everything all right? And I'm seeing pictures of Diddy's son in handcuffs and all type of stuff, man. Then I jump on the wire and I hear that stop and frisk is back. Just as and I told everybody in the ethos, please be aware, understand that this whole National Guard, this whole beef up in the uh, subway system with police is a ploy to install stop and frisk once again. Check this video out. Real HD show. We're gonna get right into it tonight. Um, I'll do a couple of advertisements a little bit later, but this is some information that the people have to know so you could be fortified and protect yourself. Real HD show. Check it out. Fair use.
Men said that they were stopped 20 and 30 times under that stop and frisk policy of the mayor. But there is the Governor Hochul, who was like, well, I'm going to do it again, and I don't care what y'all think. If you don't like it, you can walk. And guess what? She's a Democrat. Now, some people are saying, well, it's going to send the wrong message because typically that's the policy making of Republicans.
And there you have it. There you have it. Stop and frisk is in effect again, and that program worked with them folks rather well. So they're trying to bring it back. They're trying to institute it one more again for the spin. They're trying to spin the block on the stop and frisk. And as you see, she said these are democratic policies. So everybody is on everybody wants to move to the Trump side. Some folks are staying on the demo side and don't understand why folks is on the demo side is doing what they doing. You heard the sister right there. Hochul was a Democrat. She installed stop and frisk back into the subway stations, create the problem, and then provide the solution for it. Hey, man, let us know what you think on the show. Hit us up. Put it in the chat. Are you down for stop and frisk? Do you think this whole swarm and influx of people, immigrants from other countries, and they ain't just from South America and Mexico, they from China, they from the Afghan, they from Ukraine. It's all over. It's open borders, pretty much. And now over policing is back in effect. Okay. And we know that pretty much wiped out a middle class of black people in the United States because they incurred or procured fines. They lost jobs over it, all kinds of stuff. You know what I mean? Like I'm a teacher. So if I got stopped and frisked and got charged, I'd lose my job. And there's nothing I could do about that. There's nothing I could do about that until all of the nonsense is straightened out. I can't go back in the classroom. Interesting, right? And there's certain things. New York is that type of place. The city is that type of place that you don't really need to drive if you don't have to. You can get around all 5 boroughs on the train, and it really doesn't make sense because parking is crazy. Trying to find a spot is crazy. Trying to find a spot back in 2002 was crazy. I remember. Imagine right now. You watching the Real HD show. We blasting off the 5 Facebook channels: YouTube, Twitch, Twitter, IG, Trovo Nation, Mob Crush, D Live. Get your questions in. Get your comments in. Put them up. Put them things in there, and I will put it on the screen. Let's have a higher discussion. So that's one thing right there. Is this something that these Dems always wanted, but they knew they would be facing tremendous political pressure if they put that in line? And now, because of the let's see, because of the M13s and the Venezuelan gangs banding together overseas, coming here, and now they have some sort of alliance, and they're all but ushered in, like a maitre d walking you to your dining room table. Now we got stop and frisk in full effect. Jazzy, what's good? You're on the Real HD show. Let's have a higher discussion. Did you see the video about stop and frisk in full effect back in New York City?
Yeah, we talked about that before. Yeah, and Honestly, it's all about generating revenue.
Yeah, and now they're talking about they the same person might have gotten stopped and frisked maybe 3, maybe 4, maybe 5 times in a single day.
I believe it.
Man, that's out of control. And then this is coming from the Dem side. These are them same Dems that they want melanated people to vote for. These are Democratic policies.
Yeah, it's not gonna happen. See, one
You see
thing I
what?
can respect,
Go
yeah.
ahead.
See, one thing when it comes to Democrats, and I can respect. I mean, not Democrats. Excuse me, I take that back. One thing I can respect about Republicans is that you know where they stand and how they operate and the way they think.
Mm-hmm.
When it comes to the Democrats, they're very much so the throw the rock and hide the hand, very sneaky and mischievous, and they always have a hidden agenda. And
Right.
so when it comes to the Democrats, I don't believe that they're for our people. They just appeal to our people more based off of the narratives that they, like to spread. But ultimately, it was a Democrat who made the war on drugs become what it was
Mm. Mm. Let's
because
talk.
Bill Clinton signed that.
Yeah, let's talk about Jim Crow Joe. Talk about him.
You know what I'm saying? And now with Joe Biden, ultimately, they don't have enough people to put in prisons and they don't have the cheap labor. And so what are they
Ooh,
doing? They're
you make
bringing
a
in
great
migrants
point.
to come in to make up what we lack as far as, slavery.
You make a great point. You make a great point. Because when I did my prison industrial complex series, it said that all of the prison industrial complex contracts, the private prison contracts, have to be fulfilled 90% attendance. And since the pandemic and the protests that were during the pandemic season, it's not popular to jail melanated
No.
folk that are residents here. So
Right.
now we talked about
And
that in a previous show that lot might matriculate into becoming these new migrants that come into the country. Go ahead.
agreed. And then make it so that, the Department of Corrections, they're closing down a lot of prisons in these isolated towns, and the prisons are the predominant workforce in these small towns that are predominantly a Caucasian workforce. So if you think about it, you go to these small towns like Comstock or out in Five Points Correctional, Greenhaven, they're in the middle. You got Attica, you know what I mean? You have all in Malone, New York, where the shoe is, Southport. I mean, those are all max prison facilities, but they're predominantly um occupied by Caucasian workforce. They're all white, predominantly white COs, with the exception of where Greenhaven, like those that are closer to like Sing Sing and the lower the boroughs in Westchester County, Dutchess County, etc. But 9 times out of 10, if you go upstate, it's all white folk and they ain't got no work. So what do they need to do?
Oneida. Yep. Yep.
Oneida. So what do they need to do? They need to start bringing. They need more inmates to fill them
Mm-hmm.
beds, so they can fulfill them budgets, and they can
Yep.
fulfill those salaries and those retirement budgets. Because
Mm-hmm.
if you work 20 years for the state, you get a full pension. You get to retire.
Mm-hmm.
So if I come straight out of high school, 18, 19, by the time I'm 39, 40, I can retire and I'm chilling.
Mm-hmm.
They don't have the money. The money is not coming in to fulfill those obligations. So now they got to do something about it.
There we go. So we talking about it. Those are your friendly neighborhood Democrats. You know what I mean? They partying in the White House, the Divine Nine and the AKAs and the Zetas and the Deltas and they partying, they twerking to Sexy Red in the White House. Meanwhile, they in the subways of New York City and other municipal cities all over the country, stop and frisk is back. Come
I
on
know.
now. We gotta keep our eye on the prize, people.
And I got a
Um,
brother that's a cop. He's been with the NYPD. He retired what? Thursday? He did his 20
oh, say
years.
word. Say
Yeah.
word. He retired Thursday.
He retires Thursday after 20 years.
Oh, okay. This is something he was looking forward to. I thought he saw like he was he saw the forest for the trees and was like, I'm out.
Yeah. Because
Oh,
he
you
already
said
said it. He already
oh,
knew it
okay.
was coming down the pipeline. Once they started letting all
Wow.
these migrants coming in,
Yes.
and he's been in on the force for, over 20 years. And so
Mm-hmm.
he saw what it was hitting for. He said, all right, I got my 20 years and I'm over 20 years and I'm out. Yep, he retires. He'll
Mm,
be done by on Thursday.
mm. He don't
Because
want to
he ain't
do.
with it. He not feeling it. And he a brother.
Not to mention what's going on in Pittsburgh, what's going on in Chicago, and what's going on in other places around the country where they gutting police budgets and they don't even have officers on duty overnight.
Yep.
Everybody who doesn't know about that, please check out last week's show and the week before that, where we talk about what's going on in the city of Pittsburgh and the city of Chicago with their police and how they're basically not available um, from like maybe 1, 2 in the morning to like maybe 7 in the morning.
And
Ain't
that's
that ain't that when most of the crime happens?
right,
at,
though.
at night, stealing
Right.
cars, blowing up ATMs. Like, ain't that when all that happens? You know what I'm saying?
Yep. And I mean, if you think about it, I mean, especially in Chicago, since all the migrants that went to Chicago, they getting $7,000 vouchers and housing vouchers. And you got the
Mm-hmm.
people in the, South Side, they ain't feeling it. There was a viral video going around with a black elder. She got up on the podium and told him, like, look, we built this. But you
Mm.
got these people coming in here getting all these housing vouchers and food benefits and free health care and all of that. But where is ours at?
Yeah,
It's happening everywhere.
yeah, yeah. I'm just showing you how these things are. But check this out.
Hmm.
NGOs at the border paid almost what is it, 60 million to bus people all over the country and allow these folks all over the country. So how non-government orgs spending budgets upwards of that amount of money to locate and relocate people all over the country to these quote unquote sanctuary cities. Let's talk about it, man. You want to create a problem and then provide the solution for it. So now you're gonna over police me to death. And here's the thing, especially for my people up here in Iraq. You ask, well, this ain't why does this affect me? Because if it works in New York, it's gonna go everywhere.
Well, and not
Trust
to
and
mention it's worse here because we're a
trust and
sanctuary
believe.
city.
Say it again.
I said, and not to mention it probably will be worse because we're a sanctuary city.
Yeah, yeah, yep,
So they can't even be deported even if they try to.
yep, yep,
That's what
yep,
makes it worse.
yep. And then now we getting into this whole piece here. Did you hear about Tyson Foods,
No.
the largest food employer in the country,
What a
the largest food factory employer in the country.
mm-hmm.
1,300 fired from Virginia, Arkansas, Indiana, Iowa, and Missouri. But they're gonna hire 84,000 migrants.
Because they get the
Sounds like
tax relief. That's why. It's
sounds
all
like a
about
money.
it's
Sound like
about money.
smooth. Sound like smooth money to me.
Yeah, it's all about money. It's so when you're hiring immigrants, migrants, ex felons, things like that,
Mm-hmm.
they get a tax cut
Mm-hmm.
from the government. And that's
Mm-hmm.
basically what it's all about because it costs major organizations and corporations more money to provide citizens with a salary, benefits, retirement, etc. Versus if they were to offer someone with minimum wage plus the tax cut, it would allow them to no longer be in a deficit if they are in the red. And it would actually create a surplus in their overhead because they're not when you're doing onboarding is the most important expensive component of any major corporation. It costs them a lot of money up front to onboard
Right.
their
To train.
employees.
Right. To train people. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Put them through the whole HR.
Mm-hmm.
Get down, sex ed, all that stuff,
Yep. And then they got to
continue
go through. Yep.
continuing ed. Yep.
Their
Yep.
insurance, and then after a certain amount of time, they pay into the retirement plans. They also have to offer insurance benefits, short term disability, workers' comp insurance, and those expenses they're very very expensive, very expensive for a company. And I'm only speaking as a business owner. I know these things, so.
So let me ask you what else you know. Do you know, or do you think
Hmm.
that the government will hold Tyson Foods with their lobbyists? Do you think they will hold them to the same standard and to the same law, effect of the law, color of the law, that they're
Uh-huh.
going to hold gig economy workers to, and businesses that make gig economy workers, take them out of that 1099 bracket and make them a W-2? Are they
Well,
going to hold?
no, because I think necessarily because they're not U.S. citizens, so they don't necessarily have to pay into. They can't pay into Social Security because they're not a citizen. They can't pay
Mm,
into a lot of the things. And if you think about it, like any migrant or foreigners, they're not have. I mean, they'll pay the basic tax, but there's certain things that we as Americans have to pay into, like FICA, Medicare, Social Security. Those are things that we pay into as U.S. citizens. And I don't believe that would be something that necessarily would be required of a migrant worker if they're not a U.S. citizen, because where would it go?
right.
Everything's attached and associated with their Social Security number. And if they don't have one, then what?
And are they going to get the government oversight that they're going to make them regular Americans and companies adhere to? And you answered that, probably not, because they're
Hmm.
not citizens. So you can get
Exactly.
away. You can get away with this.
And that's why most like if you think about the Asian community that can come over, you have the Southeast Asian, Pakistani, Yemenis, and all of them that come over. When they open up shop and they set up their own businesses, they don't pay taxes for the first, I think it's like 5 or 7 years. And so
Mm,
how they evade from paying taxes is they transfer the business over to another family member, and then that's
right.
another 7 years, and so on and so forth.
Mm-hmm.
So they're
Mm-hmm.
never really essentially paying into our economy.
So let me show you another savage inequality that a lot of regular American taxpayers are going through right now, and that's this right here. San Fran approves drug screening for welfare recipients. So if you are a citizen or a taxpayer and you receive welfare, now you're gonna be subject to a drug screen. Are they drug screening all of the immigrants when they rush over the border, and they're giving them, housing vouchers and credit cards and all kinds of stuff like that?
I don't know.
I
I
doubt it.
don't. I,
I doubt it.
I don't want to speculate. At the end
I
of the
doubt it.
day,
Mm-hmm.
I truly don't want to speculate, because at the end of the day, these are things that are evolving as they come down the pipeline. So I don't want
Mm-hmm.
to necessarily say that is the case or not the case, because I've seen in different aspects, especially even here in New York, where people were held to the same standard as if they were a citizen, where they had to attend group, where they had to work for their food stamp benefits and etc. So I don't want to say yes, I don't want to say no. Ultimately, it would be at the discretion of the state. And because it's in San Francisco, California, who knows how they have it set up there? I mean, ultimately, they're the recipients of federal funding for these programs that exist by the federal government. However, every state has its own jurisdiction, and as to how they choose to run those programs in their prospective states. So
Right.
I agree with the idea of having to drug test people in order to receive benefits, because if I were to go apply for a job, I got to get drug tested. So why not? You should also be held to that same standard if you want to receive benefits, regardless if you paid into the system or not.
No, I'm saying if they're gonna put regular
I
folks through
understand.
this,
No, I understand what you're saying.
are they gonna put those other folks through that?
We don't
Um,
know. And so it's kind of hard to speculate. I mean, the probability of it, maybe you have some people who may be skeptical and say no. But then you have people like myself that are optimists, where I've seen it happen, where foreigners that have come over from, you know, from Africa, from Russia, from Poland, and all, etc., they
Hmm.
were held to the same standards as the Americans that were receiving benefits. So ultimately, like I said before, we can't really speculate because we don't know how they choose to run those programs in those states. I can only speak to what I know from my experience from when I lived in New Jersey and from when I in here in New York.
Well, here's something to consider. Those who have skin in the game, those who have paid taxes into the system, whether you live in New York or San Francisco or wherever you're at, don't you think? And you could tell me, it's your voice, your victory on the Real HD Show. Do you think we should be held to or held in higher regard than those who are just coming here?
Absolutely not.
You said not.
What do you mean a higher regard? What do you
Yeah,
mean?
yeah, because you're already here. You're already vetted. You're already a taxpayer. You're already paying into the
I think
system.
we should take priority. That's what I believe. Is that what you
Say
meant?
that. Say that one more time.
I believe that U.S. citizens take priority because we pay into the system.
Well, there you go. So that's exactly what I was asking. Okay.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
Okay. Really.
absolutely. Because
Okay.
at the end
Really,
of the
really
day, it's
cool.
our money that we're putting into the system, and the government is
Hmm.
basically spewing out. Anybody that
Hmm.
comes here illegally, and even although they're coming to seek asylum, I'm not denying that they don't deserve some kind of assistance, but I don't think they should get the red carpet rollout. Absolutely not.
Yes. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Is your voice your victory right here on the Real HD Show, and we are talking about some of the things going on, and we're having this. We're here tonight for this, the great vote hustle, and a lot of the things that we mentioned, especially stop and frisk that we just showed the video of. Shout out to the African Diaspora Network. Check them out. Go give them a like, give them a subscribe, give them a mention, give them a comment, and turn on your notifications for them and for us as well. Please do that. So every time the Real HD Show comes on, you will be notified. You can jump on and rock out with us. Um, Total Package Energy. They Olympic tested, people approved, all natural product from Melanated Company. Please, they got support them, go mob them, go to their website, totalpackageenergy.com. They got juices, they have waters, they have powders, they got gels, they got all the stuff you need to beat that 3 or 5 o'clock crash that comes. You see that B12 right there? They got that B12 shot for you. Get involved. Total Package Energy. So we didn't do our AAT report. So we're gonna do that really quickly. We're gonna show you a video. I would have gone through the music and all of that, but I want to get to this great vote hustle. So we want to check this out. Basic instructions before leaving Earth. All about foods. Check this out right here on the Real HD Show.
Read Genesis 1 and 29, it tells you what the food is. I have given you every fruit bearing seed to have as food. And then if you go in the back of the Bible, Revelations, the last book, you read Revelations 22 and 2, it says, I have given you every leaf to be used to heal the nations. So the leaves are to be used to heal the nation. What are the leaves? The herbs. So you told you what the food was.
Plants and fruits.
When our people were obedient, not in a famine, not killing each other. Told you what the food was. And then Revelations is about now you have been disobedient and you've caused all this dis-ease in your body. I'm going to tell you what's going to heal you. It's up to you to take that choice. So that's why I do my detox. That's why my detoxes are all herbal, because herbs do that. They pull heavy metals out the body.
That was one of our AAT reports. We should get down with that, Jazzy. You into that? You into the Bible, Deuteronomy? What's the other? Obadiah has some stuff in there about it. Proverbs has some stuff in about diet, and so does Revelation. Your thoughts?
I know gluttony is a sin, and that's what was taught and educated in the
Mm-hmm.
Bible. I was raised and
Mm-hmm.
grew up in the church.
Mm-hmm.
I don't no longer practice, and I do not identify as a Christian anymore.
Mm-hmm.
But I do believe that we are to survive off the land, and the
Mm-hmm.
land is, what we put into it is what we will get out of it. And so I'm all for, growing our own food and farming and knowing what's being put in our food and what we're ingesting. So I've, have a bunch of brothers and sisters that are herbalists that I work with, and
That's okay. Yeah, as soon as you're done, come on back through. We got you. So the second part of the AAT report, Healthy, Wealthy, and Wiser for a more energetic you, we're gonna put on AI to help stroke victims. Now, what's interesting about this is this something that you would consider? Would you consider letting technology lead you past some of our more endangering health conditions? I don't know how many sisters and brothers that I've known over the last maybe even 40 years have died of heart attack and stroke. So let's check that out and see if this is worthwhile. Real HD show.
After a stroke nearly 20 years ago, Canadian Ann Johnson lost her ability to speak.
What do you think of my artificial voice?
It's the first time since her stroke she's able to use her voice to have a conversation with her husband.
Hey Ann, how's it going?
It is good to see you.
We might need to test it a little bit.
Researchers from the University of California, San Francisco, and Berkeley developed a device and AI technology that allowed Ann's brain signals to be decoded into written and verbal speech.
You are truly wonderful people.
Using Ann's wedding video, they also were able to pair her voice to an avatar that exhibited her facial expressions.
It was really exciting to see how quickly she was being able to get the computer to understand what she was trying to say.
Surgeons implanted a device into Ann's head that interprets brain signals. By attempting to say words, Ann trained the system to recognize the signals that control the muscles involved in speech. They found the technology decoded up to 78 words per minute and reached a vocabulary of 1,000 words.
1,000 words gets us really, really close to the amount of words that most people use in their everyday life.
A new study from the University of Stanford used similar technology on a patient with ALS. This doctor says the new developments could be life-altering.
You can imagine how long it would take to spell out a sentence with your eyes letter by letter. But a brain-computer interface where a word can just appear by thinking about it, that would significantly impact patients' quality of life.
Thanks for stopping by.
Researchers say they are testing safety and working to improve the technology to be more accurate, but say they are optimistic medical devices that can help patients like Ann regain speech will become a reality. Tashana Reed, CBC News, Toronto.
All right, there you have it. We got almost like a Neuralink hookup. Peace, brother Mozzie. How you doing, bro?
All righty.
Yeah, man. So we in the middle of our AAT report. And first we had a little ditty about the Bible and different what the Bible has to say, basic instructions before leaving Earth. You know, that old limerick. And they talked about, the different ways that we can eat healthy that's already in the Bible. And then now we're talking about, now we jettisoned into 2024, where UCLA, the California system, has a device that can actually help a lot of folks, especially in our community, that suffer with heart attack and severe stroke. So I don't know if you saw a lot of the video, but the woman had these modules drilled into her head, and then the modules allowed an AI character, AI avatar, to translate her speech as she was trying to form words, so on and so forth. Are we ready for the Matrix? Because when I saw that for the first time, I said, "Oh boy, are we in the Nebuchadnezzar? Is this the Matrix? What's going on?"
Isn't that in the movie Avatar? Isn't that what's happening with him? He couldn't walk, but then he gets into this machine. He gets hooked up. Poof. Now he's in another world, in another reality, whatever,
Yes, sir.
and he's flying on top of whatever and swinging from trees and even getting his groove on.
Right. Yeah,
Well,
man.
interesting thing, I remember years ago when I was in, I don't know if I was in college or high school, but they were showing where, and this was high school, they were taking electrodes and they stimulate certain parts of the brain of a person who's asleep or a person who is, had a stroke, can't talk, anything like that. And when they stimulate that with the electricity, the person started talking from that memory spot.
The
And that was
synapse, right? The nerve synapse in the
yeah,
brain.
yeah. And they just and next thing you know, the guy just starts whatever they touch, the person starts talking.
Almost like Tourette's, right?
Yep. Yep.
Hey, like an auctioneer. Hey, 45, 55, 75, 85, 95.
Exactly. But these people are
100.
unconscious. The thing was they were unconscious.
Yeah.
And so I knew right then and there, it's just a matter of time, man. Just a matter
They
of
had the
time.
2 prongs in the woman's head with the iodes attached, and that was attached to the equipment's relaying the message on the television.
So it's the same setup. Now instead of the mouth moving and telling you what it is, it's being transmitted through the device electronically and being read, and now they can read the brain waves and all that other good stuff.
What in the world does this have to do with us? Well, we're one of the larger communities suffering with stroke, debilitating strokes that can make you legally blind, impair speech. Some make, give people Tourette syndrome. All type of things happen as a result of stroke that our community suffers from, mainly because of diet, mainly because of a lot of different things. Let me make this piece right here a ticker, and then we can. UC Davis Health and other hospitals for stroke patients. UC Davis adopted a technology form to help quickly identify patients suspected of having stroke. The hospital is the first in the Sacramento region to use the platform. It utilizes image-based technology and electricity. So, it's very interesting. Please go check that article out. I kind of go all over for my information. I wanted to present that to you. Does anybody at home who knows someone or you yourself has suffered with stroke, would you be willing to go through this sort of procedure? Would you willing to be a candidate for this if you had a debilitating stroke, if it made you paraplegic, voice enable, or a mute or other sort of debilitating conditions? Would you be willing to do it? And is the what do you call that? Is the convenience of this technology worth the squeeze? Talk to us, bro.
Most people probably would, man. Given given where they're at and what they're experiencing, it's worth the risk. What else I got to lose?
You
and
see
now
them
that you
making
can do that, here's the other part. Now, if you get a robotic arm, you can't move right now if you get a stroke because nothing's coming from the brain. But now, if you've had a stroke and you got those hooked up, now you're giving messages and movement to the robotic arm to move the way you needed to move. So most people would find themselves saying, yeah, I will, I'll be a candidate.
Yeah, I'll wear them shoes for a minute until, let me get to this. Hold on, because where's it at? I'll put it on here. Let me see. Boom. Can Neuralink be hacked? Cybersecurity weighs in. Last month, Elon Musk, renowned entrepreneur, reveals that its venture Neuralink has successfully implanted its computer chip interface in human subject for the first time. Very interesting that this technology is going on at the same time as the UC Davis technology. Musk shared on Twitter that the individual is recovering well and early outcomes are showing promising signs of detecting neuron spikes, which are essentially the electrical activities of brain cells. However, the advancements in computer interface technology are also raising significant concerns regarding cybersecurity implications. Why need? Why have your what do they call that when you why have spyware when you could just tap right into somebody's brain?
Yeah,
Why have adware and spyware on your computer when you could just tap right in?
that's the $1 million question.
And at the rate that we did a little excerpt last week on what do you call that? The TikTok piece and how that might just be a reaction to China kicking America's butt in the technology for electronic cars and solar panels. So that's not only a move for quote unquote national security, but since China's kicking America's butt in electric cars and how efficient electric cars are, do we have reason to worry that this Neuralink piece and other technology like it is safe and secure for us to use as people, even though the convenience is there?
I think it'll be as safe as what it will be as safe as what you can afford.
Ooh, that's interesting. So now let's get into Medicaid recouping these homes. So of course, if they want to make this widespread, and of course, Medicaid is going to be the vehicle that, if they want to make this a thing nationwide, Medicaid will probably be the policy vehicle that they use to spread it. And of course, Medicaid recoups these homes from a lot of folks to take care of these absorbent bills. Your thoughts?
Yeah.
Down the rabbit hole we go. I mean,
Yeah, yeah, and then a lot of it too. This may be, the in the context of Western world, everything always has a monetary value for some reason. So, and so there's never a, how can I put it? There's always seems to be a fight with humanity. So when these things come about, is it really to preserve humanity? Is it really to help humanity? Or is it exploitation? Now, maybe in other parts of the world, they are looking at it differently and may use it differently. And you can manipulate and control someone's carbon use. You can manipulate and control how much they eat and how much basically they use on the planet. And they wouldn't know, because you can then, if someone wants to hack you, or someone can download the information, or as you go to, power runs out and you go to plug into a power source, you could find yourself now being totally controlled, not know it, because you're being controlled. I mean, think about when you put you under for surgery. They're pretty much controlling the brain and what happens with the brain and how the brain affects the body. You don't feel no pain, no nothing. You're just out. So for all you know, you can be asleep for the next 2 or 3 years before they bring you back online. Put you in rotation.
That's crazy. That's crazy. You in the
But
dugout.
that's kind of crazy. If you can think it, then that's the thing about it, though. If you can think it, think about that.
They got the videos out there where they in the person's head and they're playing around with the synapses, and they got the person's jaw moving while they're out.
Mm-hmm.
You know, all
They got
kind
him
of crazy
showing up.
stuff.
He on a conference call, and he been asleep for the past 3 years and don't even know it.
Crazy stuff, man. Crazy stuff. We don't have all the answers, but we got questions. Let's have a higher discussion with a real HD show. I don't know, man. What do you think? You wanna get heavy, you wanna get light, what you wanna do, bro? You ain't been on here in a minute. What's going on? What you think?
I say go for what you want to do, man. I'm ready to rock with it.
So tonight we are here for, and let me put the Great Vote Hustle 24. So we just, Jazzy and myself just went through. Jazz, you got something to say about the last particular article or news?
Absolutely, I do.
No, go ahead.
Because you guys have brought up Avatar, and I don't know. I was watching a couple of interviews today, and a lot of people don't really know that Hollywood is not really Hollywood, and movies aren't truly really movies. They're there for entertainment, but they're also regulated, because a lot of people don't know that the Pentagon has a budget in film.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm just gonna leave that there.
Yeah, man. SAG-AFTRA, right? They
Right.
grant these folks every year, right? They grant the
And
Screen
they,
Actors Guild.
and they monitor Hollywood, and they watch it for propaganda.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. For sure. For sure. Where are we gonna go with this? Y'all want to do Candace Owens, or y'all want to jump into this voting piece?
I
What's your
want
thought?
Owens all day.
You want to do
I'm sorry.
Candace? You want to do Candace?
Yeah.
The reason why I want to do Candace is because Candace has done something that she's exposed something
Right.
that needed to be exposed, but I think it has to do with the right wing fight and now recognizing that we spend so much time putting down Black people that we don't realize some of the things that are really going on. And remember, I told you with David Duke, when you want to listen to his radio show, he's constantly talking about this, the what Candace Owens is fighting against right now. And what's interesting about it is the technology that they've engaged in based on the language and how it's always a moving and ever-changing target. So I would like to get into her, because I thought what I've been seeing from her, being that she's been fired from the Daily Wire, and some of the conversations that she's had, especially with the latest rabbi, were very, very, very interesting. I mean, you talking about
Now, I didn't see the latest one with the rabbi, but I did see the one on Hot 97. Get ready to laugh. Fair use.
And Joe Budden. That Joe Budden interview was.
Yeah, man. Fair use.
I got to send you the other one, man, and just listen to how they two go back and forth. But go ahead.
Yes, sir.
I love it.
Check this out. Real HD show. Fair use.
Response. God is good. God is good. Amen.
No.
She didn't get to
I thought you were going to say God is great. Thank you for the food.
God is great.
No.
God, all right,
Y'all not gonna give it answers?
I'm gonna do you, Charlamagne. Yeah. Charlamagne, God is good.
All the time.
And all the time?
God is good.
That's
God
right.
is good.
Where's that from?
Church.
Jesus Christ, Candace.
Church. God is good all the time.
What church she go to?
Yo.
No, I'm serious, man. She spouts all this Christian. Bruh, I done been around my Catholic folks. I done been around white Christians. Everybody knows that one, man. If you say you've been to church and you believe in God, I don't know where you go in America where you don't hear that.
Yeah.
May not have that swagger to it the way we should have it, or that rhythm how we have it, but it's always said.
She might be Mormon. You never know.
They even say it in the Mormon church.
Good stuff. Candace Owens is on her woke apology tour. You know what I mean? Like the Rolling Stones or the Beatles. And she's let go. And then she's on her Amistad, slave ship Amistad. Eyes free, give us free. right? And going around to every, black melanated podcast show, publication, anybody that will be listening, that will be willing to listen within the sound of anything, any earshot, to plead her case. She even said something to the effect of, I was just giving tough love. So that means when she was siding with the race soldiers for murdering innocent folks, she was giving tough love.
That's not tough love. She was just singing a song and dance because that's what she had to do to maintain her spot and her stature. I mean, don't get me wrong, and I'm not gonna say that, to some degree, we as Black people don't deserve some of the criticism and scrutiny that exists.
We do,
but we do, and so I don't want to say that, but I think that she went full fledged in singing their narrative, and instead of singing her own tough love, it was basically that of whatever station she was on, or whoever she was
She was on the Daily Wire.
Oh, the Daily Wire. Yeah. I can't. It's Fox News, right?
The Daily Wire is what's the Jewish guy's name?
Ben Shapiro.
Ben Shapiro.
Yeah, and I don't even like him.
That clown. Yeah,
and I don't even like him. So basically, at the end of the day, we all know that media is not, the news is not real news at the end of the day. And in order to get ratings and to be able to climb, it's a political race, not only just for the news and media, but also a political one.
What I think what she also got smacked in the face to it is the double standard that we've always talked about.
Mm-hmm.
That we always said that certain things we can't do certain things. No. There's nothing holding me back. Nothing's holding me back. I can do and say what I want. And you know what? She just got held back. Matter of fact, they ain't even holding her back. They kicked her off to the side of the curb and said, "You find your own way now."
Yep, we don't need you no more.
And the sad part about it is, I mean, you want to talk about whether somebody has compassion. Those same people that we've talked about, that she always said, "No, you guys, you're just being, But she's pregnant. She's about to have a baby any day now. So where's the compassion?
They just giving her tough love.
Talking about she married a white dude because Charlamagne hit her with the question. Well, why'd you go off and marry a white dude? If you from South Carolina by way of the Caribbean, why'd you marry a white dude? Oh, I wanted an intelligent man. Whoa.
Which says.
Whoa.
Which says there are no intelligent brothers.
Very interesting. I wouldn't be surprised to see homegirl rock a kufi and a leather Black Panther outfit and develop a Diddy bop.
Brother, always come.
I would not surprise.
They always come back because they fail to realize.
Always come back home.
Yeah.
When they get kicked off the bus, and they're standing around looking like, "Oh, what do I do now?" Oh, wait a minute, I can go back to Black people. They'll always accept me because we the love folk, man.
Oh boy,
we the love folk. We want everybody to love us, even those who talk about us all the time.
Godspeed. What's the deal, brother?
Peace, brothers and sister. How y'all doing?
We waiting on you, man. Waiting on you.
We having a high discussion. You keeping up on the Candace Owens woke apology tour?
You know what? I got to pay a little more attention to it, but I did peruse it a little bit, but nothing really stuck with me, to be quite honest with you. I was just checking it out, like while I'm driving or something. But I got to sit down and check it out. Yeah, I want to check it out because in the past, I've had issues with that sister in the past, that George Floyd situation, boy, that was really like my second, how could I say, experience listening to her, to be honest with you. So I really didn't know her at all. You know what I'm saying? Because 2 times you hear somebody don't mean you know them, you know what I mean? But that George Floyd thing, bro, she was so delusional or pretending to be delusional. It really made her look crazy.
And that's
I
why they
think,
loved her so much, because she can be
yeah,
crazy black woman.
I
But she
think,
takes that same. But you know what, man? In all fairness, she's very polished. She's not a dummy. She knows the arguments, man. So she's taken, Africana Studies 101, 200, and 300 levels. So she knows the information. Now, where she decided to fall with that is where she stands politically on that is where we have the problem. Because what she decided to do is take this knowledge that she knows, and then utilize it for her own personal gain because somebody wronged her. And that's her problem, man. Candace speaks from the standpoint of she's been hurt by black people.
Yeah.
And she's getting back at every last one of them.
I can relate to that.
Yeah.
Me too.
Yeah.
Me too.
Hey, Jazz.
Yes.
I think Kansas finally found them Dominicans and got that kitchen right, man. You saw it before?
Oh yeah.
She was Miss Ponytail a couple of years ago. Now she got the Hawaiian Silky. She getting acquainted with them bundles,
I ain't speaking on that. I'm gonna leave that alone.
Well, come on, we all, I hate to say it, but when the wife gets pregnant, her hair grows long, be glowing, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, it's because of the vitamins and the hormones.
That's what she got going on right now, man.
It's the vitamins and the hormones. Her hair's gonna go back to her natural texture. Her melanin and the folic acid and all of that is gonna be popping. Her collagen and all of that's gonna be popping for a minute while she's carrying that baby. And I'm only speaking from experience because my melanin predominantly showed while I was pregnant. My nose got big, my lips was plumped, my hair was full and thick, and all of that jazz. So I'm just speaking from that experience. But I think ultimately, we should definitely check out the Joe Budden interview that she did.
I'm gonna check that out.
It was very. I'm not gonna hold you. I was intrigued. Very intrigued, and it made me see her in a different light, not justifying some of the things in her behavior in the past, but it allowed me to kind of get a full picture as to some of the things that she was encountering, and of course, as some of her own fault.
Back up.
What?
Are you developing a soft spot for the girl?
No, you're not letting me finish. You cutting me off.
You sound like to me.
No. Listen here.
Hey Jazzy, let me jump in real quick. I'll admit, because AJ and I have had conversations, and I'll admit, I'm gonna use the word hate because I don't have a problem using the word hate. That just means strong dislike. I used to hate that girl, especially with the George Floyd situation. I'm gonna keep it gutter with you.
I agree with you. I was the same way.
And I'm gonna ride with you on this one, but lately I've been checking out some of these little side debate footages of her going to colleges and so forth, and there are some issues that she hit, and I say, you know what, I agree with her on that one. You know what I'm saying? Like, just taking a point by itself or whatever that point was, like, all right, case in point, the whole thing with let me get the
LGBTQ
acronym right. Yeah, I'm trying to get the acronym right. Exactly. Some days I got it, some days I don't, right?
Oh, good. I got you.
I've seen her stand up on that, man. Like, yo, like, nah, you're not gonna confuse me. You were born a woman. So how when do you stop being a woman? Just because you had an operation, do you stop really being she goes in on them, and I'm standing there like, I agree with what you're saying on that one. You know what I mean?
Like I said, she's a very smart woman, man. She knows the arguments, man.
Yeah, I think ultimately
where you stand politically.
Yeah.
And then how you tend to spin it after that.
I think ultimately some of the things that she said while she was on the news media outlets, she had to be controversial because that's what generated the ratings. People would tune in to that type of stuff. Not saying that she didn't feel that way, but I'm just stating that is a known fact. And so in order to be prevalent and to be trending and to be, out here and making a name for herself, And I think she was, even if sometimes she may have been pressured, but do I agree that you succumb to that? No. Do I agree that you speak bad against our people based off of, what somebody else is pressuring you to do? No. I do believe that some of the stuff that she said, like for instance, when she was commenting about Lizzo, saying that, it's disgusting, I shouldn't have to see that. You're behind all bare out shaking in my face is nasty. That's not art. That's not class. That's filth. And I loved her for that.
What's the difference between Lizzo got all the cheeks hanging out and the Sexy Red?
It's the
got
same
all her
thing.
cheeks hanging out.
It's the same thing. It's the same thing. There's no difference. There's nothing difference in between that. All of it is disgusting and trashy.
But I think some of the other part too that was dealt with it, but that was, Lizzo is overweight, and we know obesity and being overweight in our community is a problem, and we know it carries health consequences.
Yes.
So telling people to just accept their body where they're at, no, you need to be healthy.
I deal with those issues in my family as well, so I get where you're coming from with it. Yeah, it's true. And you know what's wild is that in my journey with helping family members with that, certain people's sizes I didn't know was considered obesity. Like, I when you said obesity to me, I'm thinking big pun. I'm thinking, the fat boys. You know what I'm saying? But I'm not thinking like, like some of the folks who, when they come back from the doctor, like especially females in my family, and they're like, oh yeah, the doctor said I'm obese. I was like, really? Wow. Smaller than I thought, but the problems are there health-wise. The problems are there. Hypertension, high cholesterol, the whole thing, it's crazy.
Yeah.
It also has a lot to do with genetics as well, our genetic makeup. So, and then ultimately, like, because even I was considered, I've been big, but every woman in my family is big. And so they measure it based off of that number versus looking at the composition of the body. Because muscle do weigh more than fat now.
Right. But
Yeah, they might, AJ, they might consider the Hottentot obese, right?
Yo, question. Is Candace Owens banished to the Phantom Zone? Is she invited to the bar, or is she invited to the barbecue? Or she banished to the Phantom Zone to hang out with Stacey Dash and Omarosa? What y'all think?
I would do as Coach Powell.
Wait, one at a time, because I want everybody to get heard. Go ahead.
I would do what Coach Powell does. You smack them in the back of the head, tell them to get in the back of the line because they're in the way of the revolution.
I like that.
Yeah, man.
The reality is this.
We got a job for you. Go clean them latrines. We got bucket.
There you go.
Go hit that latrine,
Yeah, but because people like her, man, she's had access, and we can utilize that. If we think about it from a war perspective, it's just that we're going to have to assign someone to keep an eye on her and watch her movement. But she is a very smart girl.
Very sharp as a whip. That's why I started back listening to her again.
Yeah, and that's the one thing that we cannot discount or shortchange. One of the conversations that she's having with the rabbi, who basically one of the conversations was, so you mean to tell me Ben Shapiro has dogged me out for 2 years, threatened me the whole 9 yards. As soon as I respond back to him, I'm an anti-Semite? He's like, yeah. She's like, oh, wait a minute. And so she also talked about we need to have some academic discussions. And in his eyes, no. If you're not having an academic discussion, because if you bring up anything that we feel and we don't like the language, or how are we going to control how you talk about Jewish people, that's anti-Semitic. It's a feeling. And she's like, a feeling? She's like, wait a minute. One of the things that we got to understand is if a book and a can of soda, or let's say a book and a a watch are what they are. You can't then change the name and now the book is something else, because we've already established certain things within the language, and you can now not switch the language around. And so her and the rabbi was going back and forth. Man, he was frustrated because you can tell how disingenuous he was, but also his training. What people got to understand about Zionists, man, is that, especially of us who've gone to, a lot of Sunni schools and you've gone to school downstate. Yo, man, these Zionists, man, are perfect soldiers. They are perfect robotic soldiers, man. They've been taught and trained well.
Yeah, they told a line. They told a line for sure. I'm interested. I'm the courage that she shows to make those comments at a time like this, where everybody's getting blackballed, blacklisted. The Harvard anti-Semites of it all. How they mess with them kids, right? That pissed me off. Go back and watch that show on the Real HD show, and when I talked about the Harvard anti-Semites, the 25 kids that wrote that letter about their displeasure of what's going on overseas, in the Gaza. But now she is going to make this claim, and then of course Ben Shapiro, who obviously is one of them, Khazars, or at least that's his lineage. She had to know there was going to be some sort of retribution there. She had to know there was going to be some pushback.
Listen, when you
from
sleep
him,
with
I mean, he's a shit kicker. That's his whole thing. That's his whole get down.
But that's why she never responded to him for 2 whole years. But then what started happening to her was she started to question the Palestinian, the Hamas situation.
Right.
And that's what really got her into trouble, because when you listen to the discussion with the rabbi, she said it's sad that so many, because of the situation, a lot of innocent children are being killed. And he said that's anti-Semitic.
Wow.
And then he goes to spin it and fusses with her. And I'm like, yo. But now she's starting to realize there's 2 different type of white people you're dealing with. There's those Khazarians that are educated and created a system for themselves. And then you got Billy Joe Jimbob, who, and unfortunately for her, she's been hanging out with Billy Joe Jimbob. And I realized Billy Joe Jimbob, them ain't nothing but suckers and pawns in the game.
Pretty much.
Yeah. I don't know if that was unless she wanted to get fired. I don't know if that was smart money.
I don't think once again, you get comfortable, man. You get comfortable. See, because what is happening is not only does she get comfortable, she got comfortable in the fact that she's always been able to have because one of the things that she's talking about right now is we cannot seem to have academic discussions, that we always put our politics and our emotions in the things that are going on. Before, years ago in America, we used to be able to sit down, doesn't matter what our disagreements are, but we were able to have a discussion on the merits. And no longer can we have those discussions. And so as she's having this discussion, she's thinking, because she's been able to kind of box a lot of black people, especially a lot of our black politicians, she talks circles around them. And the reason why she's able to do that, because she comes from an academic perspective. And so now we're talking about these issues, you get the Al Sharptons of the world, those guys, and they're sitting there preaching, and he ain't never had no church, but he preaching to you. And so he's getting everybody riled up on the emotion, and she's hitting them with the knowledge. Bang, bang, boom. And so now she's thinking, okay, I'm free to do this because look at what I've been doing. Now I'm getting too comfortable, and I'm doing this with anybody and everybody. Now she done touched the wrong person and the wrong subject, because these folks, you know how they roll. And so I think she got comfortable.
Yeah, man. Got a quick ditty for y'all, and not the one that was rated, but a quick add-on.
I'm sorry, yo, AJ, you know what happened to me just now? Yo, yeah, she laughing because she know what just happened to me. You said I got a quick ditty. This is silly. This is going to be silly for my part. This is silly for my
Listen, I don't want to see young black men in handcuffs. I don't. That's doing the perp walk. That's clown stuff. That shouldn't have ever happened. So
no, I'm sorry. I had a real silly moment.
Whatever went down with this, whatever went down with Diddy, and whatever he's responsible for doing, he needed to try to insulate his sons from that blow, and that's gonna
once again, but that's that arrogance.
yeah, that's gonna be a scar on him when he has to deal with his sons looking him in the eye and saying, "Daddy, I thought you had me. I thought you had my back." But let's get back to the let's stick and stay on Candace. Y'all go watch Cornel West, Candace Owens on Fox.
Oh, that was fire. That was fire. I seen it once. I can't remember everything, but it was fire. They were at it.
You wouldn't really call her smart after watching that interview.
No, you sure wouldn't.
Maybe she took maybe she took a community college course on basket weaving or something. I don't know. But after that,
let's be real. You know, she ain't been on the lecture. She got a ways to go to get to that level, man.
Right.
Yeah.
And she was dealing with a master teacher, and she wasn't ready yet.
Right. But you know, she was barking.
But you give her A for effort.
She was barking.
She was that little chihuahua over there.
Yep. No lies.
I'm
no lies.
She wasn't scared. She wasn't scared.
Yeah.
No, she wasn't.
She was trying.
Yeah, man.
Did you all see Michael Eric Dyson and her go at it?
Oh man.
I think I saw clips of that.
Yeah.
But see, what
I debated that guy once.
Loses it sometimes is he be rapping too much.
I agree.
Yeah.
I
met that brother. I met Michael Eric Dyson back in '96 at Nassau College. Met that brother, and I had a little run in with him because he said something that I didn't like, and I know a lot of people. Some people might agree with him, but I just didn't agree with him that day enough for me to roll up on him. And it wasn't nothing like how could I say it wasn't confrontational the way I approached him. I came in like, the Trojan horse. I said, "Hey, peace, my brother." And he shook my hand. He said, "Peace, young brother." Because the thing was, it was the white student union that brought him in. So they didn't anticipate somebody from the black student union going to be paying attention to this speaker because they're the ones who brought him in. And he was up there and he said that the police were rougher with Martin Luther King and them down south versus Malcolm X and them up in New York. And I was like, hold up, bro. I'd say I don't agree with that because to me it's like this. I rolled up on him and I said, "Yo, brother, I got to talk to you about that point you made about Malcolm X and Martin Luther King." So then the lady jumped in and tried to interrupt us because she knew who I was. So she was like, oh, no, he's got to go. The limousine's waiting for him outside. So he gripped my hand strong. He said, "Nah, let the young brother speak." I said, "Big brother," I said, "I got one metaphor for you because I'm a poet too because I see you like to rhyme." He said, "Really?" I said, "Yeah." I say a pig is a pig no matter what state or planet they wallow. They love wallowing in the mud. And I left him with that. And he shook my hand tight. And he's like, "All right, young brother." I said, "All right, man." Because I was like, yo, man, how you going to try to, first of all, stop trying to always rival them two brothers all the daggone time. Those were two passionate brothers. I may not agreed with every single point on Martin Luther King's side of things. And that was really from a mainstream, not so deep, situation for me, really. I didn't really dig on to him as I should have back then as a young man. So the mainstream side of him I didn't like, what they used to promote, what they promoted, you know what I mean? But I did respect him anyway back then at some point because, being on front lines, period, you're a target. You know what I'm saying? And, we always got the whole turn the other cheek thing and so forth. And it's inaccurate reporting, right? But that was the narrative I was hearing at the time. So when I looked at him and I said, "Yo, brother, how you going to say that, the police was easier in New York than in the South?" I was like, "Nah, man, you can't get away with saying that, man. Come on, man. Yeah, cut that out." And he just looked at me, he smiled and everything, But that was my encounter with him. So when I seen her up there with him, I said, "Oh God, I gotta pop some corn." Oh man, she gave him the work. I said, "Lord have mercy. That brother could take some good work, boy." Whew. I can't remember the points though, but it was just fascinating to see her debate him. And I remember having a little run-in with him one time. Interesting.
Yeah, man. So if you're just tuning in, you're watching the Real HD show, the Higher Discussion, and we are having a higher discussion, and we're talking about Candace Owens and her woke apology tour. You know what I mean? She's running around everybody's podcast, everybody's, open mic, and she's singing a very different tune now that Ben Shapiro has gave her the walking papers And like I said before, I wouldn't be surprised if she rocks a kufi and develops a diddy bop in the year in the time to come, because she is now in that kind of tender space. And of course, you've seen the Omarosa dance, you've seen the Stacey Dash dance. When they were done on the other side, they came on back looking for, that mesquite, that Sweet Baby Ray's, and they wasn't allowed to get a plate. And it was sad. And it was sad.
One thing I can speak to, and I wish that we as Black people will become smarter in, is coming together and learning how to infiltrate in order to take over.
And the immortal words.
Huh?
Go ahead.
Finish your point, Jazz, and then you got it, Maz, and then I want to throw y'all a clip on that very point you're talking about, Jazz. Go ahead.
Because ultimately, there's power in numbers, and we've seen what the Black community can do when we're all congregated together, and the noise we make and the power we hold. I mean, you have George Floyd as an example of that, and it took everybody to come together across the country, the nation, the world. But I think that when we learn to not think so much of ourselves than what we ought to, but also remember where we come from and our lineage and take pride in that and move smarter, I think we become too caught up in our own egos and become so pompous and arrogant that we lose sight of what we're truly here for.
Amen. Shalaka-laka-lak, shock.
Well,
I'm just messing
boom,
with
shaka-laka-laka.
What did Martin say?
Words.
Let's give a benediction to Brother Rock. No, I'm playing. Go ahead, sis. Go ahead, brother. Go ahead.
In the immortal words of one of our great ancestors, how the heck I just forget his name just like that. Writer. What's his name?
Langston Hughes.
No. He was
James Baldwin.
In the immortal words of James Baldwin, Black people are internationally illiterate and politically unsophisticated.
Correct.
Ooh. All right. On that note, let's check this out. Real HD show. This is Godfrey talking on the on the Club Shay Shay. And he had an interesting little tip.
You did. Yes, because people say, well, Shelly, you called.
I'm going to pause it, and hopefully I can get to the point where it becomes really good. Okay, here we go. All right, here we go.
That's always been a problem with us in the first place, though.
It is.
It's our unity. Our unity. Can I tell you a story?
Fair use.
Sure, I'd love to hear.
Okay, there was a guy I knew who was a big-time drug dealer, pushing mad weight. He was one of the biggest in New York City. And he was telling us, me and my boy and shit, Artie Fuqua, he was telling us, I ain't afraid of shit. I ain't afraid of nothing. He goes, but I went to China to make this deal with the mafia over there, the triads and shit.
Yeah.
And he goes, I'm talking to these dudes. And he goes, I ain't never been afraid of shit. But when I got into their like headquarters, they were so organized. It was scaring the shit out of me. They were so calm and so organized. They were sharp. And the guy, he's talking to the head dude, and he goes, and they're just having a small talk. He goes, the one thing about Black people, he says, you guys you're the trendsetters. Everybody copy Black people. You're so creative. Your music, your style, everybody.
Yo, that's hilarious. Why he go to the whole Japanese voice? Like he telling his own story, but he got the Japanese voice popping. Let's go.
We like Black people. We jealous of you. But the one thing you don't have is unity. Very easy to break you up. Wow. And this is in the drug game. He says we don't even lie though. He says we can't even organize crime.
Wow. What in the world? Comments, thoughts, suggestions. Let's get them. Y'all at home, let us know. Can we organize crime?
That's deep.
Now, history wouldn't say that that's a thing, Because if you think about Queen and you think about Bumpy and Queen, and then on to Frank Lucas, that was pretty well organized. I just
I
want,
don't know about Frank Lucas.
I just want to throw that out there. What we thinking? What we thinking?
I mean, he hit on a point. Otherwise, we would have been to solve some of our issues.
It's the ego.
We would have solved a lot of our issues. Man.
It's the what? Say that again, Jazz.
9 times out of 10, the predominant characteristic that all of these people share is their egos.
You talking about people that are in the shadow light.
Yeah, it's the egos. And because Frank Lucas thought he couldn't be touched. Then you have the mafias. They usually think that they're invincible and that they're running stuff, but in all reality, when you think too much of yourself and you feel like you're untouchable, then they lose sight and they get sloppy. When you're on the hustle and bustle and you working your way from the bottom to the top, you focused. But then once you get to the top, you don't know how to stay there. And they get comfortable. And they get sloppy.
I think a lot of it too is that ego, but that ego comes from, in my opinion, it comes from kind of the kind of the Judeo-Christian tradition that a lot of these folks grew up in.
That's true.
And
I think some people organize crime in pockets too. Meaning that, like, when it comes to our people, we organize. I'm gonna just speak in this context because I grew up in Southside, South Jamaica. I grew up when the crack epidemic was like crazy out there, And the thing is that those crews, not gangs, but back then we rolled in crews. They really organized in pockets. And some people had a longer run than given credit for. Some people still got a run. How about that? So I hear what he's saying on a like a mafia, La Costa Nostra type of level. Maybe not at least not in New York, on that level. But otherwise, in small pockets, people organize. And I mean, I'm not glorifying this. I'm not saying that this is something that we brag about. You know what I mean? Put that energy into a different, area and focus, and we'd be great. But just keeping it real because it was brought up, and I heard what he said. And no, we've had some people that did organize for themselves.
I think that.
But here's the fundamental issue. I think that when we start to talk about organized crime around the planet always has a lot of ego. Anybody in all these systems. The one thing that separates it and makes it different in the Asian world is their cultural traditions. And their cultural traditions is built on Confucianism and Buddhism. And you always are talking about the selfless.
Order. Yep.
There you go. But when you look at organized crime in Turkey, when you look at it in the various sections of the Arab world, you look at it throughout the European world, you look at it in South America, it's built on a different cultural tradition, which ego was always there, and there were always individuals who could never really come together. So the order that he's seen was based more, once again, at that religious thing which is the foundation for a lot of our societies. Their religious belief is based on Buddhism and Confucianism and Taoism, which gives you order more than anything else, and the selflessness. And when you understand that hierarchy and all those things, and you understand that, you function a certain way.
I agree with you on that for sure. You're right.
Yeah, man. So that was an interesting tip.
But I get what he was saying, though.
Yeah, I do.
Tip, and we should always be aware of those things. And for everybody at home, don't get it twisted. There's no ethnic group in this country that hasn't benefited from illegal means. Not one. There's not one ethnic group in this country that hasn't.
It wouldn't be the American way.
Set up systematic structures for life, living, and community, and didn't have some illegal avenues that it went down. Matter of fact,
I can tell you where it all derived from.
The first cops were gang members.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Jazzy.
Irish gangs.
Well, I mean, the criminal, when it comes to the drug game and illegal game, it all derived from overpopulation back in the 1800s when you had immigrants coming over at a mass rate. You had Asians, Mexicans, and blacks, and when they were coming in and they had abolished slavery, they had to find a new means and a new way to create new slaves because they were taking the jobs away from the white man. And so that's ultimately where um, those laws on drugs and the crime, the war on drugs and all of that derived from.
Yeah.
And to his point, the point where he utilized the word unity, and it's like Brother Mozzie pretty much, really put his foot on that one really well. I'm just reflecting back on it. It's really a sad thing too, because the disunity he's talking about that stopped us from having like criminal empires, like what he's alluding to. It's the same disunity that really just destroys us as a conglomerate, as a people in this country. And I'm just looking at how things are here in New York. You know what I'm saying? That disunity, that lack of like principles in the household. It's like it's just sad. Now there are days when, like Vic know me from the 90s, you know what I mean? And he while he was at the NOAA program and doing things big in Hofstra with the groups over there, I was at Nassau. I was the president of Haraya. And, the guy from back then and the guy today, it's the same person, but it's just that I must admit, I am a little jaded. You know what I'm saying? I have become a little bit jaded, just keeping it real, because it's like, yeah, everything from the music, to the politics is just, a situation where it makes me feel like, you know what? It's time for me to just make up for lost time from back then. When I was putting a lot of time into like spreading the culture amongst the people, it's time for me to start reading some economics right now. Make up for all that time I didn't do economics back then. You know what I mean? And then, you know what? When I help myself, as we say, do for self, I do for myself, then I could do for others so much better. You know what I mean? I even had a run just a few years ago, looking at, do for others, do for self and others, dealing through Aboriginal Republic of North America, the Moorish Science Temple of America, and things like that. And in certain instances, I'll be straight up with you. Like, even in the Moorish Science Temple of America, the house Noble Drew Ali built that was misdirected after he left. No disrespect to nobody who might feel differently, but I'm just gonna keep it what it is. Like I told AJ on the private end, to me it was like the Green Leaf. But that was the name of that show, right? A? It's called what's that called? That show that was on Netflix. Is that called Greenleaf? I think it's called, with all the
you talking about
the churches.
You talking about the crooked religious family?
Yeah. What was the name of that show again? Something Leaf.
The dude was a pastor in Atlanta, right?
Yeah. One of the dopest actors. I love that dude.
Like in Tennessee.
Yeah, or Tennessee, or one of them.
Like
whatever it was, they was living large, man.
Yeah, he was big pimping, spilling cheese. Yeah.
Word. And and it's like what I mean when I was watching that show, it's like I could see where some of it was like the Moorish soap operas, as I used to call it. You know what I mean? Everybody, the guys from Chicago ain't liking the guys from New York, and the guys from New York need help from the folks in Chicago, and they coming up sloppy with the charter, and you're like, really? Come on, man. Why you bringing that Negro, black, and colored ways into the Moorish Science Temple of America when it says in your doctrine you're supposed to put down the Negro, black, and colored ways, and we're supposed to be Moors, like, and try to pull others in? But it's like pulling them into what? More soap opera, more disunity, right? Not even a complexion thing. Now it's a region thing. It's like, come on, man.
Hey, man,
so
let us
that
know at
disunity is
home.
big.
All of our Bay families. Let us know at home. What do y'all think about what Brother Godspeed is talking about? Is that correct, or is it different? Let's have a higher discussion about it. So we started the show on talking about the NGOs that are spent on moving immigrants all over the country, from the borders of the South. When they come in, you got millions and millions of dollars being spent on moving folks around. But this is not a new thing. And I want to play a video for y'all, and then I want y'all opinion after the video goes off. I want to talk about it, and then I want to see what y'all think. Okay, here we go. Real HD show. Check it out. And this will be the last one, and then we're gonna go out on.
Actually have lineage traced back to Massachusetts.
So that's so interesting because so Shirley Chisholm, right? Like Shirley Chisholm and her parents
I went to her daycare.
when they came here to New York, and when she went to Brooklyn College, right? Her family was given housing priority over African American families, and she wrote about that in her book to share to people that like during that time America was intentionally bringing Caribbean families here and giving them more generational wealth and taking that away from the African Americans that were already here, like the ones who migrated from the South. She wrote about it in her book, and many of the Caribbean Americans did.
So I went to Brooklyn College too, and I have this Trinidadian professor. She told me this, and I can't find the statistic, the data. I can't find it. But what she said was like, back in like the 60s, 70s, they wanted a more docile N-word. Like they wanted a more docile Black person, and they felt like the Caribbeans were that, and the Black Americans, they were on the Black Panther time and civil rights. They was doing too much.
Yeah.
So they brought over the more docile, well-behaved, hardworking Black people from the Caribbean, and they gave them opportunities to land and housing, and especially in New York. So that's why you see that a lot of Caribbeans own houses here, and are homeowners here, have stores. Like my grandmother has like 4 properties in Crown Heights, and her husband, he's Guyanese. He had like corner stores and things of that sort. Meanwhile, my side that I grew up on, we've always been renters. We've always been just, workers. We've never owned anything. So it's just really interesting that is the case. And like, I basically, I can't find the statistics on it, but I'm happy that you mentioned that because my Trinidadian professor was like, no, you need to look into this.
Yeah, you have to.
And I'm like, when you look into it, it's kind of like, wow, like they're just giving what we work for away.
And that's why we asked for.
All right. So what do y'all think? In light of what's going on with this mass wave of folks coming in here and getting the handouts and getting the accoutrement and everything that goes with it, even teaching folks how to squat for homes. I don't know if you guys seen that. Million dollar house in New York, and the people just came in and squatted, and she got arrested because she wanted to take back her property.
Ain't that something? You own the house and you get arrested.
So we're not getting the civil rights teachings in the curriculum. We're not getting the Black Power movement taught in the curriculum and the impact that it had on America. And in the 60s, the Caribbean folks was coming over. And if you agreed to be a good Negro, you can get you a piece of property. Godspeed, my Trini brother. What you think, man?
Well, what I would say is this. As far as like folks moving in from the 60s, I could speak to that a little bit because my father was one of them. My mom was another, you know what I mean? And when they came here, my old man, the first thing he did was become the highest class of welder you could become. You see, a West Indian from the 60s coming over here is very different from a West Indian coming over here now, right? Be quite honest with you. They didn't come over here with the idea that it was milk and honey. They come over here knowing that, hey, look, if we come here and start working our tails off, we're going to end up doing a lot more than we would have been doing back where we come from. You know what I mean? And what used to happen back then is that, my parents and them, they came up here working hard, and they would be able to send barrels and barrels of clothing back from my other relatives, just hooking them up. That's the difference of the finances, the difference in the dollar back then. It was just gruesomely different. You know what I mean? And right now you're talking about 6-to-1 black market, 5-to-1 up top. You know what I mean? So could you imagine what the dollar rate was back in the 60s? If I'm saying that's what it is now, could you imagine what it was in the 60s and 70s and 80s, So I would say it's different. And the thing is too, like, okay, back then, I could definitely speak for back then, right? It wasn't just Trinidad. You get an original man or woman coming from any of the islands or the nation states in Africa. They coming over here. They were already business people where they were before. Like real talk. I mean, I'm talking about, okay, you know what the culture is in Trinidad? Stores on your land in front of your house.
Yep.
The store could be as big as a room. You stretch your arms side to side. and you're touching the walls, but guess what? That is making money for you that day.
Yep.
And you're still working some kind of masonry job where you're building something or fixing up a road somewhere, you know?
This
So you're
is
coming with that mentality over the plane.
Well, when you go around the world, once again, you'll find that most people, the way they take care of themselves is through some type of entrepreneurial endeavor. Most people around the world don't work for anybody but themselves. So there's a misnomer that you have to work for some big company or some big landowner or something of that nature. Everybody got a hustle, no
yeah.
matter
I
where
mean,
you go on this planet,
same thing
except for
happened
in
in
this
Puerto
country.
Rico. So the same thing even happened in Puerto Rico. There was back in after like the 1945s. It was called Operation Bootstraps in Puerto Rico, where they were bringing Puerto Ricans from Puerto Rico to a lot of the farms in the United States because they didn't have enough workers. And a lot of people, what they don't know is that anyone that resides in Puerto Rico, they're not protected by the Constitution. They don't have a right to vote in our elections, but they can fight in our wars. And they can also, they're citizens, so they can come over to the U.S., but only then would they have protection under the Constitution. So, I mean, the land was practically
Commonwealth status.
extorted. Yep, Commonwealth status. So the land was practically extorted by America right after 1938 when they had that major hurricane and they devalued the dollar of a peso. So, I mean, they created the problem and then they brought the migrants over. So it's a little bit different.
Now, 2 questions.
Yes.
What do we think about? Do we think this is the same epic comeback again with this new wave of folks coming in the country?
They're not reinventing the wheel. Let's just say that.
Right. 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 And then also when we want to, of course, we're in the middle of the black empowerment movement in the 60s and the 70s. We're right off the tail end of civil rights. That was used to quell the community from that sort of momentum.
Right. And they found different loopholes.
What went on a couple years ago with the folks that was here in the middle of a goddamn medical pandemic. Same sort of uprising, right?
Right.
Oh, we can't have that no more. So we gonna bring in the Afghans. We gonna bring in the Mexicans. We gonna bring in the Asians. We gonna bring them all in.
But remember,
you're right.
In any country, in the Western world in particular, a lot of the whenever they open their doors to immigration, it's always used to supplant the kind of the unwanted group that you have. So, and they don't ask anyone to come over to do anything that they're not bringing over people who would build in their own country. Because one of the big fights that I remember, my uncle used to get in with my stepdad, who was West Indian, the argument about, Black Americans don't do nothing here.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
False.
Well, one of the big discussions was, well, then why, if you're doing so great, why can't you go back to your country and fix up your country? Because in the end, they're no different than Black folks here, because you came over here and they allowed you to get a little something, and now you're doing okay, and so now you look at your other brother, not understanding that you were purposely brought over here to kind of keep that destabilization amongst melanated people, but you left a situation that was horrible. Some of you have some of you have done very well for yourself, but you've done nothing to transform the condition and the situation that you came from. While you're sitting judging those who are here and conditions and situation is similar to which you left. So that's that whole thing around bringing over docile individuals. So they knew what they were bringing over.
But it's not like we haven't created those things before, Mozzie, though. Every time we've created any kind of forward movement for melanated or brown people, the U.S. government practically destroyed it. Think about all the damn massacres we've had. So at the end of the day, it's not a matter of that we don't want to do it. We tired.
Over
We tired.
200.
You feeding
Over
us an
200.
American, yeah. You feeding
Well,
us
you
an
would think, but
American
here's
dream,
the
and we created this how many times over and over and over again? I mean, didn't they take that whole block in D.C. from that one brother? They set it on fire, and that was in today's time. Like, let's be realistic. Anytime we
Oh
try
no,
to
no, I
progress,
get it. I
you
get
know
it.
what I'm saying? It's the
I'm just
same.
pretty much trying to compare and contrast
Yeah. No,
what
I respect
happens
it, and
with
I see what
those
you
who come over.
agree.
Because I know I know you guys have been involved in the argument of Black Americans this and Black Americans that. It's funny, everybody Black until we get amongst all the Blacks, and then now when there's an opportunity that you may even get a little something a little better, a little bit more recognition, now you Caribbean American or you Haitian American.
Man, I'm Black.
But the reality is, I like to do what our great ancestor, master teacher, Dr. Henry Clark used to say. A lot of Caribbeans and Africans will come over to America and think they're special Negroes.
They're not.
Somehow they're better than. He said, let me see you go up there on East 76, and if you can catch a cab within the first 50 to 80 cabs, then you're a special Negro. Other than that, there's enough niggas standing out there with your hand up being passed by a taxi because they ain't going to pick you up.
Agree.
Indeed.
Hey man, next week we're gonna see the special Negro Candace Owens. She's gonna have locks.
I'm
crying. And remember, what did OJ say? He said, "I'm not Black, I'm OJ."
I'm OJ. Yeah.
Okay.
Word, I'm OJ.
Okay.
There you go.
But here's what happened. Remember when all that went down? What was the first place that he went? He went to the Good Life on Crenshaw and tried to tell the folks that the white folks are trying to get them, and we got to stick together. Like, nah, Negro, you was out there doing the wild thing with them crazy folks.
You OJ.
Now you in there with, you got Nation of Islam in there, and you got some other, some new Black Panther Party brothers and all that. I was there at the Good Life. It was called the Good Life on Crenshaw. And
I know the Good Life. That's where Freestyle Fellowship is from.
Yeah. He's in there, man, trying to convince brothers. I don't know what he was trying to convince them. It's like, brother, and everybody kind of looking at him like a deer in headlights. Like, is that OJ in here talking about being Black? Like, come on, man.
Wow.
Whenever they in trouble, they always come home. When they get kicked out the door, they get smacked in the face. Whenever they got displaced by those who placed them where they are, they always come back home.
What's interesting is the 60 to 80 Black townships and cities that were all over the country between the years of 1870 to about 1960, and then all of a sudden those are replaced by lakes and replaced by national parks. And then you get something like what we just described with the Caribbean influx. And now I'm nothing against my grandmother Trinidadian. I ain't got nothing against my Caribbean brothers, but we gotta know the tricknology when we see it. And now all of a sudden, other folks could come in our communities, Asians, Arabs, all kind of folks, open up all kind of stores, but they won't let them open them up in their communities.
And that's where that unity.
There's that TikTok with the Asian lady, and she's busting it all down about they open it up in our communities because they couldn't open them up in the white ones.
There you go. And you know what's interesting about that, man, is that when we talk about this unity, we don't have to be so unified to the point where we just need to be unified in certain things we do to start moving us forward.
Agreed.
Right.
Agreed.
You know what?
Right.
Agreed.
We don't have to be a
open up in the
monolith.
community. I ain't going to that store.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go with Brother
Agreed.
Fred.
And Brother Mozzie, you know what you just said there gave me a flashback of something else a little bit off the topic, but on the topic. the late great Kwame Ture once sat down on CNN and had Louis Farrakhan. He had man, he had every single leader on the map at the time there. Even the brother from Jamaica, what's my brother? Muda Baruka was there.
Yeah,
You know, and he looked at all of them. You remember that? You saw that CNN, Brother
I
Miles? Maybe you
vaguely
saw that.
remember it, man. I remember I called myself being security for Kwame Ture when he came to campus.
Oh man, that's golden. I applaud you, my good man.
I didn't have the pleasure. I didn't have the pleasure, but I feel you.
My good man. You know what? I got a picture for you then. You know, I was standing right next to him, pretty much doing the same.
Yeah, man.
But he said something that you just said, bro. He said, listen, he looked at all those leaders. He said, listen, man, Farrakhan and them was right there, bro. He applied it right to him in person and from a wheelchair. He said, listen, he's like, it's time for us to all come together and really do something together. You're going to have to leave your religions at home and come to a common table, make up a plan, follow it through, and then go back home and praise your creator the way you do. But you got to come together at this table and leave your religions home. That's what he said to all of them. Psh, man, forget about it, man. What you just said, it reminded me of that, though. But yeah, it's crazy. Macrocosm, microcosm, same thing, though.
You know, we don't have to. We don't. It ain't like we all got to march together. But you know what? Asian folks only shop at Asian stores. Well, what happened if we only shop at black stores?
Yeah.
Damn.
Maybe they'd have some products on the shelves.
Yeah.
There you go. Anybody know? And the thing that kills me is people who are in business, because what people in business will say is, you know, they want you to patronize them, but then they want to say, you know, I stand for certain quality, and certain reason why I don't do business with other black businesses because they don't do X, Y, Z. And I'm saying to myself, you wasn't always that great when you started out. And maybe if you gave them some business, but you also left a little comment in the comment box, or pull the owner aside and just tell them, you know, I really didn't like this. You know, I wish I could see that. I could see this. We don't do that. What we'll do is we'll get on social media. Yo, man, you been to the so and so. Yo, they trash.
Yeah, a lot of that.
What I mean? But think about it. If we would spend money with them, then they can then hire brothers and sisters who are good at, you know, product placement, that's good at, you know, you can hire those experts to create a Wegmans, that can create a Tops or create a Panera's, you know, because you got money to hire the experts to come through and help you with that stuff. But we don't realize that. We don't realize that it takes money to do all this stuff, and not every business is going to be perfect out the box. Chipotle wasn't Chipotle until Chipotle got enough money to be Chipotle.
Right. Right. And shopping that's custom to us.
Exactly.
You know, you need that eczema cream, or you need that whatever you need, or whatever you prefer. We got it. We ain't got to put it on special order. We ain't got to jump through hoops. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Because think about it. Think about this. Let's go all the way back to the hair care industry. That was controlled out of two places, Chicago and North Carolina. But you had a factory in North Carolina that was producing a lot of the the chemicals to give you the Jerry curl, and also to get the perm and all that different kind of stuff. And you also had Johnson, which was out of Chicago. So those were the two major areas where we had hair care products coming out of. But what started happening? We're always looking for a deal. And I get it to a degree because of where we are economically. But the reality is this: when you start giving your money to other people, you empower them.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what happened. So what happened? Now the Asians are coming through, Koreans in particular. Now they're getting into the hair care business, and we're going to the Koreans. Now the Koreans get to the point where they got money, and we know that Mr. Ed over here, who had the business, is faltering. So let me go buy Mr. Ed's business, because he's like, I'm done, I'm out. Now they owned a manufacturer who produces products. They grow some more. Now they buy out the others. And now we're beholden to them. And then we say, well, they don't treat us right. Why should they? You don't treat yourself right.
Yeah.
How you want somebody to treat you better than you treat yourself?
I agree. Hey, man, listen. We appreciate everybody tuning in. We are in way past overtime. We almost at 10 o'clock. And I know I didn't get to the core subject, but I'm not gonna break the wisdom to entertain and all of that. We're gonna get and have a higher discussion if we possibly can. Please join us on Wednesday, and we will definitely get to part 4 of the Great Vote Hustle, because that's exactly what it is, and I'll show you how. We'll get to some of this here. We'll talk about corporations. That's a Tim Hightower comment. We'll talk about legalese and the wills. We'll talk about civilitier mortis. We'll talk about the United States, the United Nations Human Declaration pieces that pertain to the Constitution and voting. And this is your man, Baby Bush. Stop throwing the Constitution in my face. It's just a goddamn piece of paper. So join us Wednesday, man. We're gonna get into all that and more on the Real HD show, and let's have a higher discussion. Please, with hair grease. Like, share, subscribe, comment, and turn on your notifications so that every time the Real HD show comes to you, you will be notified and we can have a higher discussion. Brother Mozzie, Brother Godspeed, last word. What y'all got? Y'all want to promote anything? Y'all got anything y'all want to put out there for the people?
Just open your eyes and tell one person to come tune into the show.
Tell a friend.
Love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. Indeed.
Yeah, man. Also, this Thursday, my son's show are back on the air, Broadcast Beats, and we have a special show for you because we got lifelong, really dope artist, MC, musician. He'll be on that show with all his musical wares, all his abilities, all those great things. I'm trying to pull it up. Let me share my screen real quick so I can show you the flyer for it, so you guys can tell everybody to tune in and rock out with us Thursday night.
When you get a chance, send me another flyer with that date on it so I can send it out again.
Yes, sir. And we'll do. And please tell everybody to tune in, especially if you have a young person and they're interested in production. They're interested. Oh, I can't even show it because it's not okay. I'll put it on my YouTube page and my Facebook page. So no worries. I'll put the flyer up. They're saying the image is too broad for the system for right now. So we'll get it popping. We'll get it popping. Please come Thursday, 8 p.m. Check out Lifelong. The replay will go on Sunday, the regular time that Broadcast Beats will be on. So you'll have 2 opportunities to see this really special show. Dope, brother. Got a lot to offer. Come check them out. Hit us up. And as always, we're going to say peace and walk with power. We love y'all. Love on each other. Let's get back here on Hump Day and let's build and be more progressive. All right, y'all. Peace. Y'all have a good night.